Alright, hey guys, Hunter 1930s original fan collector, etc. Back with another video, and today we're doing another catalog video, which of course I thought I'd bring you into a different location of my house instead of reading it upstairs, because I sat on my leg and I get pins and needles at the end of the video. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Of course, this is the 2002 catalog. We're going all the way back to the early 2000s when the Casablanca was criminally underrated. Of course, welcome 2002. Welcome to Casablanca 2002. Of course, very interesting. They give you this message if you want to read it. I'll hold you guys here. And you got this fan right there. That's a beautiful one. It's a Aegean classic. And then, of course, into the more of the booklet. You got that installed on the foyer. Table of contents, if you want to read what they got. And, of course, they got the Aegean classic being drawn out on the front of the cover. Very short-lived Casablanca. Not really heard of too well because of it being discontinued so early. Where to buy a ceiling fan? We're home. And, of course, Casablanca leaves you with more of this message. Of course, it shows why owning a ceiling fan is very important in winter and summer, what they can do for you. Of course, what's new for Casablanca in 2002. Of course, you got the South Seas Blade Collection introduced, the Aegean Classic, the Cathay in the Mandarin Red finish, which I thought that was cool, and the Campagna's custom blade holders too, and a new damp rated Wildea, and the Zephyr floor fan, and of course a new control option, Advantage. Of course, all ceiling fans are not created equal. As usual, what Casablanca includes. I'll move the catalog and I'll open the side of the booklet if you want to read that. Major features and all that stuff. Of course, I'm going to bring it over here. Open it up on this side. What you got? Same thing as last time, as I read in 2006 catalog almost. Casablanca really loved to show their quality fans and all that stuff. And control options, ranging from wall controls to remote controls. You get the dual slide, single slide, dual rotary, single rotary wall control, Advantage, IntelliTouch, VersaTouch, Comfort Touch, and Adapt Touch. Very, very, very cool control options that I never seen before, was where Casablanca takes in the leads. They were like ahead of their time, you know? Where to use your Casablanca fan, all that stuff. And they mentioned where you put it. As always, like, very, very cool. Of course, starting off, introduction is the Casablanca mission. Very, very unique. Then the Casablanca Cathay, the Cathay itself. Mandarin Red, that's my favorite finish of them all. Then you got the Natural Iron Mountain Mist finish, which is extremely, extremely rare. Only saw one on YouTube. I remember Cleveland Fan Collector showed one of these on his channel, which I remember going to another fan collector in Tampa. I think Jack Connor, who got it, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. If you know him, if you know where that fan went to, please put it in the comment box below, because I would love to know where it went to. And of course, the 19th century. Of course, the beautiful burnished brass finish, the vintage pewter, and the gilded silver finish. Very unique. I really thought that was one of the coolest things of all when Casablanca was taking their time. The Brussia, of course, architectural white, brushed nickel, over bronze, weathered copper. Now the Novell side. Featured in vintage pewter and bronze patina at that time, which unfortunately this fan came to an end in 2006 at the end of it. the Aegean Classic, which is not a very long-lived fan. I do love the ornate design of that. The Zephyr also featured from a table fan to a floor fan. Very, very unique. Then you get the Bella, once again. Featured in all of our bronze and aged gold and vintage pewter. And the classic, good old classic Panama fan. Still make the Panama, as I said before, but they're not the same anymore in design. Of course, they were featured in many different colors, which we'll get to the finishes at the end, which I thought that was really, really cool how Casablanca put their color codes on it. And every time a model number has, which I'll get to the finishes, which I think it's in the back of this book. And the good old classic Ventura, which is very beautiful. And also, they were featured in chrome too, but not long-lived either. The Concentra, major childhood fan. The Campagna, which I thought that was really neat. Also, it says 3-speed and Versatouch, some of those fans. And, of course, the Bel Air and the Bel Air Halo. Available Comfort Touch, Advantouch, and IntelliTouch, which, of course, the Bel Air and Bel Air Halo are very unique. Metropolitan, of course. More control options. So you see how they list the numbers at the end of the model number. Like 2 for bright brass, 4 for antique brass, 11 for Snow White, 45 for brushed nickel. It's so unique how they do it. Like, very, very cool. And then the Capistrano, major childhood fan looking for one in the antique brass finish. Of course, the Verrazano, which I thought that was really cool because of that light. I like that pointy dip to it. And then the Stealth, which is the long-lived Casablanca that really didn't change a thing in their design. They still make it to this day, but now it's a DC motor fan. Then the La Grande, which I have. Very big fan. Of course, they offered it in slate gray, architectural white, and brushed nickel. The S3 and the Estrada. If you want to read the finishes, you can. And then, of course, the Utopian, which I thought that was very cool because they offered it in architectural white and with chrome accents, because usually white and chrome is not something you see very much for a Utopian. It's very, very rare to find. I'm hoping to find a Utopian in that color one of these days. The Wailea, which I have one of these. That was my first laundry room fan, too, and speaking of that. Then the Lanai. Of course, that's one of my favorite designs. Major, major, major childhood fan. I have 5 of them. 2 in wash bronze, 3 in snow white. Very neat because they included the rustic iron, which is color code number 46, which we'll see later what that looks like. It's more of a really rusty color. And then the South Seas blades for Casablanca. Then the Avalon blade system. Then the Malibu Star, which is very, very, very huge. Then the Victorian, which of course is the Victorian 2, we should say, because these changed from standard hole to blade badge design, which I thought that was unique. And of course, antique copper didn't live very long for the Victorian 2. And then aged gold over bronze, vintage pewter, and then this architectural white. They were also offered in bright brass too, which is very unique. Commodore Vanderbilt. And then New Orleans Centennial. Offered in antique brass, antique copper, and vintage pewter, which, of course, antique copper didn't last that long for a New Orleans 2 centennial. Then the Four Seasons 3, which I have 2 of them, and I love them both. Of course, there's 42 and 52 inch size, and they also are the hugger version too, and then the outside version too. A lot of finishes included for them. Then the blade finishes. Then the blade selection, size you wanted, and what you want to get out of it. And then the fan finishes too. Very, very cool how they include that. Then, of course, I don't know who cut this out, but then in the hanging system and that stuff, I don't know why someone cut that out. I don't know why, but it's been like that. I guess that some stuff was discontinued, so they cut out some of the light kits. This came from the fan shop, this catalog, if you're wondering. And then, of course, the light kit fitters. Glass accessories. Of course, light kits specifications and bulb specifications. And all that stuff. Model nav for reference charts too. All that is very, very unique. I thought I'd show that. Product specifications right there for each fan. And an invention. And that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching. Lots more to come.